Good day, class. In today's lesson, we'll be starting our first class on Introduction to Chemistry. What is chemistry? Chemistry deals with the composition, properties, and uses of matter. And we know that matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. And we know that before scientists can actually arrive at a conclusion in the environment around them, they go through what we call the scientific methods. What are the scientific methods the scientists use in carrying out their experiment? I call it OCMET, where O is the observation, C is the classification, I is the inference, M is the measurement, I is the identification, H is the hypothesis, E is the experiment, C is the conclusion, and T is the theory or law. These are all that the scientists use, or these are the scientific methods. They use this in carrying out their experiment in order to arrive at a conclusion, and that conclusion becomes a theory or law. Now that we have known the scientific method, we need to go to the nature of matter. We said matter is anything that has mass and occupy a space. Then matter has three elementary properties. The elementary properties of matter are the atoms, molecules, and the ion. Now that we have known what matter is, matter can also be classified as having a physical property or a chemical property. What are the physical properties of matter? One of the physical property of matter, or I call it the physical changes. These are changes that are easily reversed, or we call it reversible changes, but no new substances are formed. Examples of such uh, properties or changes are adding the mixture of water and salt, that is a salt solution. You see that it is easily reversed, but there are no new changes that are formed. Other examples of such changes are changes in the state of matter, be it melting of solids to become a liquid, or freezing of a liquid to become a solid, or be it vaporization of a liquid to become a gas, or liquefaction of a gas to be a liquid. These are physical changes. Other changes include all the separation techniques, be it separation techniques by sublimation, be it separation techniques by evaporation, be it separation techniques by crystallization, be it separation techniques by fractional crystallization. All separation techniques are separated by physical changes. Or separation techniques by magnetization of iron rods are physical changes. Now that we have known physical changes, or one of the physical properties of a matter, we also have chemical properties or chemical changes. Chemical changes are changes that are irreversible, that is not easily reversed, but new substances are formed. Examples of such changes are burning of wood into ashes. We see that when you burn the wood and it becomes ash, that is a new substance that has been formed. Other examples of chemical changes include slaking of lime. Slaking of lime. These are chemical changes. Other changes are fermentation and decay of substances. Fermentation and decay of substances. Other examples are rusting of iron. We see that new substances are formed. Rusting of iron, and lastly, changes in an electrochemical cell. These are chemical changes. Now that we have known the two properties of matter, physical and chemical changes, we move to what we call elements. What are elements? Elements are substances that cannot be split further by an ordinary chemical process. Elements are substances that cannot be split further by ordinary chemical process. Examples of an element is the first 20 elements we know: the hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, and calcium. These are the first 20 elements. We also have other elements in the periodic table that we can classify as elements. They are the transition metals. I do tell my students they are the periodic table are can, T, bar, crop, min, fe, co, ni, cu, zinc. These are the transition elements between group 2 and 3 of the periodic table. The scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium. Vanadium is Vn. Chromium, we have manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, and zinc. Now that we have known the definition of elements are substances that cannot be split further into simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. We move to classification of elements. Elements can be classified into so many. They can be metalloids, or what we call semi-metals, and non-metal. But for the sake of this class, we want to group them into metallic properties of elements. That's their physical properties of metals and physical properties of non-metals. One of the physical properties of a metal is that metals are good conductors of electricity. Non-metals are generally not good conductors of electricity. One of the chemical properties of a metal, now that we have known the physical property, one of the chemical properties of a metal is that all metals are reducing agents. Non-metals are oxidizing agents. When we talk about metals as a reducing agent, we mean that they can also ionize by losing their electron to become a cation, while non-metals generally gains electron by becoming an anion. Those are the physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. We also move to what we call compounds. What is a compound? A compound contains two or more elements that are chemically combined together. Example of a compound is water, H2O. Hydrogen is the element there, two or more elements that are chemically combined together. Water, hydrogen and oxygen react together to form a compound that is called water. Other examples of compound are ethanol, C2H5OH, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen. These are compounds. We now move to what we call mixtures. Mixtures are just constituents, two or more constituents that can be separated by a physical means or a physical method. Example of a mixture is air. Air is a mixture of gases, oxygen, hydrogen, and all. Hope you have gained something today. In our next class, we'll be examining, or I will be teaching on separation techniques, on how you can separate mixtures, maybe by decantation, filtration, evaporation, crystallization. I want you to be ready for my next video. Bye for now. See you in my next video. Bye.